Hey guys, welcome back to Foil Fridays. Last week we looked at a session me and some of the guys took in the morning, and we reviewed the Nash 112 with the Nash Surf Thrust Large. This week we are going to talk about another board I rode during that session, kind of did a back-to-back style move with the Slingshot Skywalker 510 foil surfboard, as well as the Cloud P27 Ghost Rider foil. Now you might be asking, hey, I thought you said you kiteboarded that session. It was definitely a kiteboard session, although I did bring my foil surfboard and foil with the hopes that maybe the waves would pick up and we'd be able to get out there and be able to do some prone foil surfing. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But as happens occasionally, I have my board with me. I decided to take it out with my kiteboarding kite, this time the 5-meter drifter, and have some fun with that setup anyway. So this week we're going to talk about a comprehensive review of the Slingshot Skywalker surfboard and Cloud IX P27 Ghost Rider surf foil, as well as some compares and contrasts with the Nash Thrust Surf Large that we rode in the same session, and we've rode back-to-back many other times to give you a real in-depth look at the differences between these two foils. Now, to give you a little bit of heads up for next week, I am leaving on vacation to the Outer Banks this week, so we may or we may not have a video for you next week. Me and Rygo are going to connect down there, try to shoot a couple of videos, get some content. So depending on how fast and efficiently we can work, we may have a video for you. If not, look for a really awesome one the following week. So since we had not enough waves and this foil was already rigged up with this board, went out on it, and actually happens to be a great time to do so because we've had a few people asking how do surfboard foil boards and foils ride behind the kite. So if those of you want to do double duty, this helped me answer that question. So one of the things that's really unique about this board as compared to other boards, at least in surfboards, is that the volume of the rail, the thickness of the board holds all the way down into the tail here. So that gives you a ton of paddle power, a ton of lift in the back of the board, and as a result, when you're kiteboarding, this is quite a large board as compared to kiteboarding hydrofoil boards. It's significantly larger in length, width, thickness. In terms of volume, probably twice the volume of most hydrofoil kiteboard out there. So it is quite large. As a result, when you're out there board starting, you're laying that board on this rail. It doesn't really want to sit sideways as you board start. It really wants to lay flat on the water. So that can require a little bit of adjustment when you're board starting. And if you're in wavy or choppy conditions, it may require one hand to hold the board in place as you board start, just to keep it from moving away or taking off on a wave on you, so you can successfully board start. The other thing that I've noticed on this board is if you're leaving your foil in your typical position near the rear of the box when you're surf foiling, as you are when you're kiteboarding, it's really going to feel like you have a lot of board in front of you. When you're out there foiling on your kite, you'll find that your feet are somewhere in here if that foil is in the back of the box. And one thing that'll help with that is if you can scooch the foil forward in that box, move the mast more towards the center of the board, that's going to get your feet a little more in the neutral position of the board, a little bit more neutral stance, and that way it doesn't feel like you have a big old skiff or a big old boat hanging out in front of your feet there. And as a result, it actually reduces the swing weight of the entire setup, making it just a lot more fun, a lot more easy to carve around and ride. It's going to react faster and just be a lot more enjoyable in terms of that. So while you can use the same exact setup, you might want to consider scooching that mast forward in the box towards the center of the board, just to get a little bit more enjoyable experience out of that board. So, will it work kiteboarding? Absolutely, it's super fun. As I said, it's a little bit bigger, but if you can get beyond that, if you're not a guy that likes to ride super fast or in really high wind conditions, it actually works quite well. And for those of you guys out there riding in light wind, it'll allow you to board start in even lighter winds because of all that extra buoyancy. You can almost stand on top of this thing. It's so buoyant. So works great for that. In terms of being a foil surfboard, this is an excellent board for beginner to intermediate riders. It gives you the paddle power of a board much larger than its actual size here because of that added thickness in the width down here in the tail section. In the flat rocker on this board, it really does paddle super fast. It is a rocket ship, and because of that, you can catch waves a lot sooner, take off in a flatter zone where you're less likely to mess up or breach your wings and end up falling into the wave. Allow you to make longer rides because of that, and overall just be an easier board to paddle, so you should be able to be out there even longer, having more fun, catching more waves. So this is the Slingshot Skywalker 510, super fun board for those advanced guys, maybe a little bit large. A lot of the guys out there are liking to ride smaller and smaller and smaller boards. When you do that, what happens is you have to take off in a more critical section of the wave, which is a higher level of skill. However, you do get a lower swing weight, which allows the board to be more maneuverable and react more quickly, as well as pump after you run out of wave for a longer distance because the angle of the length of the mast versus the length of the board changes. So you actually get better pumping out of a shorter board. So beginner intermediates, yeah, you can kite foil with it. Is it ideal? Not exactly, but it's a trade-off and you can certainly do it. It's tons of fun, and get out there and do it. And as always, go ahead and click the eye icon. That's going to take you to a blog about the same product, allow you to finish the video there and really give you a lot more information, a lot more comprehensive knowledge in a blog format for you to read there if you want more information. Currently, we're working on making a foil boarding knowledge center that's going to be a lot more easily navigated and have a lot more information for you to browse there. We're working really hard on making the most comprehensive foil knowledge center online. So go ahead and click that eye icon, jump in there and learn even more. So as I had mentioned before, I went out with this setup with the intention of hopefully prone surfing. Unfortunately, it just didn't stack up that day. It didn't quite build to the point where it needed to. So we went out there, had some fun comparing, contrasting, and riding this setup behind the kite, which I had done before in a similar situation where the waves just didn't happen. It happens frequently here on the Great Lakes, so getting out there and making the most of it with a kite is oftentimes, kind of a second best situation there. So as I mentioned, the board works really great. However, the foil, is really impressive behind the kite. It's certainly something, that kiteboarders would consider when looking for a larger light wind or slow speed foil, especially you larger guys. This is a great foil with tons of lift. It's going to get you a bunch of water time. And in terms of the feel of foil, it's very smooth, very stable and intentional from edge to edge when you're carving around with it, and really makes it feel like kind of a Cadillac. It's a very cush ride when compared with the Nash Thrust, which is very raw and aggressive. Certainly, very stable as well, but transitioning from edge to edge on the Thrust Large is a little bit more tippy and happens a little faster, more aggressively than with the Cloud P27. So if you're after that more mellow, chill ride, definitely check out the P27, tons of lift. And for those larger guys, those guys looking to ride slower, it's a great way to do that and progress quickly. Because of the slower speed and the super stability of this foil, it really allows you to work on your footwork, transitions, and really the basics of riding a foil and a number of different conditions. So this is a quick way to progress and get going that way. One of my favorite things about this foil is the mast length. So it comes standard with a 27-inch mast. So if you're a guy that wants to get out there and carve around on your surfboard, it's really kind of the preferred method nowadays. Have a little bit longer mast or some way of lengthening that mast in a more choppy or larger wave scenario. So that gives you a little bit more play from the bottom of the board or from the wings to the surface area of the water, and really allows you to make the most of each wave without worrying about the potential of touching down or bringing a wing to the surface where you're going to come crashing down. So that 27-inch mast, lots of fun, and you can also purchase any liquid force mast to pair with this foil to either make it longer or shorter depending on your needs, which is a really nice option at an affordable price. So 27, for those surfers out there, it's going to be great for most of you. And for kiteboarding, this foil is actually so stable that in most cases, the 27 is going to do it for you. If you're on relatively flat water and lower speed riding, the 27 leaves a lot of room, to make your way over small bumps and waves without too much trouble. Since you're not moving at a really high rate of speed, you don't need all that mast length to kind of protect you from that. And because of that, you can chase waves a little closer to shore. You don't need to body drag out quite as far to get started. And all around is just a ton of fun, easy setup, and you can ride those shallow water spots where other foilers can't get in. As I mentioned before, liquid force masts are also compatible with this setup, so if you want a longer or shorter mast, you can jump in and do that with those. So if you're interested in the weight of this foil and the other construction details, you can jump into our foil boarding blog on this post by clicking the eye icon. In the near future, that's going to be our foil boarding knowledge center, where you'll find even more information and be really easy to navigate. This one is quite light as compared to other foils in the price range, and that's going to be a great, durable, lightweight option for you guys that are worried about that. This has been Tucker with Foil Fridays. If you found this video useful or interesting, be sure to give it a thumbs up. As always, subscribe to our channel for more Foilboard Fridays and other mat kiteboarding videos. If you have any comments at all, be sure to drop them in the comments section below. We'll do our best to answer them relatively quickly, and who knows, maybe we'll even make a video about it in the near future.